Yates channel. Hope you're having a great week now that we are on Taco Tuesday. All right, as always, you're in the right place. Everything is personal growth, self-improvement, how we can get better every day in every way than we were yesterday, right? All we have to do is compare ourselves to yesterday, and we're competing with ourselves, right? Stop managing your life and start being a creator. Even if you're a plumber, you can be creative. I got a plumber at my summer home, and this guy is amazing. At first glance, you would think this guy's a farmer in his bib overalls, yet he is an accomplished pilot, and he's an accomplished golfer, and he does a lot of other things. And he's an amazing plumber. He knows more than any plumber that I've ever talked to or experienced. Hey, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I'm on the way to the tennis club right now. You know what? I want to connect with you. And so, if my content resonates with you, if you want positive energy, we're talking about our attitude, an attitude of gratitude. Really, it's about us taking control of what we can. Not spending so much time focusing on what we can't control. That's kind of a mantra that's out there, and it makes a lot of sense. Sometimes we focus and react. We need to focus and respond to what we have control over, but that doesn't mean we stick our head in the sands and we don't pay attention to what's going on in the world. I, for a fact, definitely check in as to what's happening in the world. I want to stay abreast of current events and activities, but on the same token, I want to spend a preponderance of my time focusing on what I can do to get better today than I was yesterday. Sometimes life happens to us. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for checking in. All right. I like going live in the vertical mode of YouTube because it shows up in the shorts feed, and then I connect with people who aren't already subscribers, and so it helps me grow the channel. So that's why maybe you're stumbling on my content right now for the first time. I am live. It is not rehearsed. As you can tell, I'm driving, so there are no notes. There is no teleprompter. I'm going strictly from my thoughts, from my mind, through my heart, out my mouth. And definitely trying to create content that could have a positive impact on other people. I have to tell you, if you haven't already found out already for yourself, having a positive impact on other people, no greater joy. Sure, if you can monetize that and you can make it a business, that's my business of impacting people. Sorry, I just went over railroad tracks and I heard the whistle go. I go, wait a minute, I better check. Oh, there the arms go. They were about to go down. I just made it through. That's good, because sometimes that can hold me up for a long time. All right. You don't want to get killed on a railroad crossing. And, you know, obviously most of the time the crossings go down, but sometimes you can't trust the instruments. It's like flying an airplane, right? You have to trust your instruments. Well, sometimes if other factors come into play, like the horn on the train, it indicated, hey, there's a train, but the arms aren't down. Maybe I should slow down, stop, and take a look, which is what I did. I saw the train, but it was stopped or barely moving, and so I continued across. But sometimes we have to override the instruments that we're looking at, just like we have to override sometimes the fears that our brain tells us that are present, that aren't really there. I'm glad you're here. You're in the right place. Good morning. Live. I'll let some more people jump on here. Maybe we can share some positive thoughts and images and messages. I don't know about images, unless you see my beautiful face. course, that could inspire you. Good morning, everybody. All right, the Cliff Yates channel. I was listening, and as always, I can't remember her name. Whenever I'm studying to try to gain new knowledge and apply it to my life, I always share those things with you. One. Number two, I give credit where credit is due. I don't say, this is my idea, this is what I was thinking. No, I got it from somebody else and I'm sharing it with you. I was listening to a young lady. I say young, she's probably 45, and she just got her PhD recently in the last year. So she's a doctor, not a medical doctor, but she's a doctor of psychology, I believe. But she was, she was actually broadcasting an episode from her car similar to what I'm doing right now. And she was basically saying something that was really talked about thousands of years ago by the great Stoic philosophers, and that is, you don't always have to have an opinion. You don't always have to react to something. And she was talking about criticism she was getting from other people based on one of her videos. Someone came up to her in public, actually, not online. They just came up to her and said, hey, you know what? That last video you put out was kind of short-minded. She didn't really know how to react to that. And she got thinking about it. She said, well, there's a couple different ways that we can react to criticism. First of all, we can analyze, is this feedback that I'm getting? And we can take a pause because maybe there's some truth to it. Maybe there's something that I can get from it. Maybe somebody's saying, like to me, you talk too fast. I really can't tell what you're saying. You might be saying something really good, but you speak so fast, I can't keep up. Now, instead of taking that as criticism, I can take that as positive feedback that I can do something with. And so what she was saying is, pause. Somebody comes up to you and maybe think about it for a second. Is this something that might be feedback instead of criticism? And then we can decide how we're going to respond so we don't automatically react to them. And you can decide ahead of time, you know what? If anybody has criticism or feedback, I'm just going to say, okay, and then move along with my day. It's not a bad philosophy. Or you can take a pause, like I was just saying, and think to yourself, is this feedback that maybe I can learn something from or be better at if I pay attention? And then maybe I'll take a corrective action or I'll take it under consideration. And then how do you respond to those people? Most of the time it's probably good to say, hey, thank you for your input. I appreciate you. And then you move along your day. I think that's better instead of wasting your time interacting with someone who's probably just trying to throw shade on you. But you know what? You can pretty quickly tell, hey, you know what, this person, especially if you have a relationship with them, then you know, hey, this person cares about me. I'm really going to pay more attention. What they're saying carries a lot more weight than somebody who is just, reacting to a video or some content that I put up online. Although I give value to that also, because you know what, people, if they've taken the time to consume my content, then hey, you know what, they have some value. They've taken the time to watch and or listen, and now they've taken the time to respond or interact with the channel. I do value that more than somebody who just obviously doesn't listen, watch, or we have no contact with each other. But definitely, I don't want to give time to people who are throwing shade on me or criticizing, or those people that all they can do is throw arrows at you from a distance. All the high achievers, great producers, they don't spend a lot of time with the haters. First of all, comments, they have a lot of interactions. If they paid attention to everybody that was throwing hate on them, they would really be wasting their time. So we really shouldn't spend too much time on that. Like I was saying, if you're a small channel or a small creator like myself, you can actually interact with people on a one-to-one basis more often. You can respond to the comments. you can actually take pause and think, is this maybe some positive feedback? Or maybe it's feedback that I can learn something from, and maybe it's not that positive. But maybe it's communicated in such a way as to say, hey, this is not serving you well. I didn't like what you said. And then you can decide what kind of value you're giving. Hey, I'm glad you're here. Thanks for being here. Hey, pay attention. Subscribe to the channel because I'm about ready to drive up north to my summer property on the Thousand Islands, New York. If you've never heard of the Thousand Islands, that's actually where the name of the dressing came from, Thousand Island dressing. And I have an island that was handed down from my grandmother almost 90 years ago, 85 plus years ago. And it's just a paradise. And I spend five and a half months there. So I'm not a snowbird from Florida. This is my home here in Florida, but I do spend 5.5 months at my summer property. So check it out because I'm going to be posting a lot from the island, but I'm also going to be doing a series on another channel that I have called The Island Life. And it has to do with everything living on the island, what I have to go through with the bugs and the gas and groceries and how, I live on the island and all the challenges that go with it. I've kind of separated those channels because it's different kind of content. A lot of the people on the Island Life channel, they like it because they're into boating, they're into fishing, they're into living on the water. What is it like? What are the challenges that you have? And but anyways, if you have any ideas about the Island Life channel, let me know. Or if you think maybe I should just keep everything on this channel, because it does divide my energy a little bit. But I really believe that it's two separate kind of entities. But let me know what you think. I'm interested in your comments and your advice, of course. Alrighty, I'm glad you're here. So I'm getting ready to be driving up to my mom's first. She lives 3 hours from the island. She recently had an injury. Now she's 90, but still working out. There's a lesson for you. Still exercising. But she took a fall, 90, and she's got a few fractures in her buttocks. She's in severe pain, but there's not much they can do for that. There's no surgeries. And so she needs me to get up there. I've got to take her to a few doctor's appointments, help her recover a little bit. And then eventually in June, we'll get her up on the island and she can recover fully. It takes probably 3 months to fully recover from those injuries that she has. But she is getting around. She's got a walker. She is actually still stretching and exercising. But she's been in a lot of pain, obviously. There's not much you can do for that. But time heals. So I stop at Mom's first. And then by May 8th, I'll be heading to the island. And it should be interesting. I'll be posting videos on my trip there, road trip, and also when I get to the island. It's also going to be part of the series. So it's going to be 80s today here, as it has been. And so by the time I get to upstate New York, I think it's still going to be cold, right? 50s, low 40s, 30s, but hopefully soon to change for more of an early summer and less cold springtime. But you'll see how I deal with opening up the cottage. And it's not that work intensive really, because I have a guy who opens up for me. I got my plumber friend, Bird. He gets to the island first, puts the water pump in, makes sure all the systems are working. The toilets are flushing, the sinks are working, the water heater's on, plugs in the refrigerator. And so by the time I arrive, my systems are working. Of course, I have Wi-Fi already set up because I transmit to other people. So I get free Wi-Fi, so I have to leave that running all year round. Well, which means also I get an electric bill all year round, but that's all right. All my systems are in place, and then during the winter, my electric bill is next to nothing, 20, 30 bucks for the month. All right, everybody, so glad you're here. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Just about to arrive to the Kiwi Tennis Club here in Indian Harbor Beach, Florida, the Space Coast. Have you been to the Space Coast of Florida? The Space Coast, we're 25 miles south of Cape Canaveral, where all the launches happened. There was a launch yesterday and there was a big launch scrapped. A Falcon 9 that was supposed to go up didn't go up because of weather. And we actually had a lot of rain this morning. But the sun came out and the tennis courts have drained. And so I'm going to have a couple hours of tennis today. And then I got to get ready tomorrow. I start the road trip. And I'm going to take 3 days, so 2 nights, to get up to Mom's, which is about 1,200 miles. And so we're going to split that up over 2 nights, 3 days. I got the cat still alive, 19 years old. And so that's where we are today. What was the theme of the stream this morning? You don't have to react to everything. We don't have to respond. We don't have to have an opinion on everything. That was something Marcus Aurelius, the great emperor, the most powerful man in the world at the time, and yet he was writing notes to himself on how he could live better, which became known as meditations. And one of the things he said is, we don't have to have an opinion on everything. We don't have to react to everything. And I actually did that yesterday with someone who I call a friend. But politically, they are in opposition. And they made some kind of statement as to anybody who would vote this way, I hope you die and suffer. I'm thinking, well, that would be me that you're hoping for. You know what I decided? Not to respond to that. The friendship that we do have together, of course, we don't discuss politics, but I decided I'm not going to respond to what he put online there, because in my interactions with him personally, he's a very kind person, and I don't, the venomous comments don't come out when we're one-on-one. But when he's online talking about the current administration, he spews a lot of hatred and negativity, and I don't interact with that. I try to use Marcus Aurelius' philosophy. We don't have to give our opinion on everything. We don't have to react to everything. If you yell and scream at a rock, how does that affect the rock? It doesn't affect it at all. So sometimes people post opinions, statements. What effect does it have on us physically? Nothing. What effect does it have on us mentally? Only the meaning that we give to it. So we can decide what that meaning is. And you know what that does? It empowers us. Kind of puts the ball in our court, if you will. That's what I say. And I say that because I'm here at the tennis club and I want to acknowledge you, everybody. Thanks for all the recent support, positive comments. I actually made a video yesterday, long form content. And it was directed men over 50, what we should be doing. And I said at the beginning, I don't like to niche down like that or restrict who I'm talking to. But apparently, that resonated. I got about 10 times more views than I normally get, where I am trying to appeal to everybody, I guess, who wants to do better every day in every way than they did yesterday. So I was kind of niching down to, hey, men over 50, you should do this. And I guess it hit more accurately a target of people than my normal videos do. Or maybe YouTube figured out, algorithm-wise, okay, this is who this content is for, so I know who to show it to. That could be what's going on. All right. Hey, you know what? Hey, achievements are what you're going to have. Because let me tell you something. It's so simple, and a lot of us don't get it. I'm talking to myself, not you. And that's it. Making progress towards a worthy goal. That's life fulfillment. And in some cases, we don't even reach that goal. The joy really is in the journey. And if you put too much focus on the joy going to be at the end result, then you're going to put the joy part on the 10%, and the 90% you don't have joy built in. So if you built in joy to your journey, I'm telling you, you're going to have a more fulfilling life. Happiness is going to be a byproduct of our intentions, what we're doing in our relationships, how we're interacting with other people is really important. Relationships, it turns out, I learned this long ago, 40 years ago. When I changed, things began to change for me. And guess what? What changed was my relationships. And you can't divide them. Well, I mean, you shouldn't divide them. if you have great relationships at home, then you're probably not going to have bad relationships at work, or vice versa. Focus on having good relationships at home, at work, and wherever you are. That doesn't mean you're a doormat. It's just that you are really focused on interacting with people in a positive way. That doesn't mean you don't set boundaries on what you're going to accept or reject. No, it just means, hey, you're going to focus on developing deeper relationships. I had coffee with my neighbor yesterday, the pastor. He's a Baptist pastor. And we spent a couple hours together. Before that, we just interacted as neighbors. But him and I both have the same philosophy. We go deep quick. You know what? We don't have to wait a long time. If I'm interacting with you, I go deep quick. Now we might find out that we don't gel too good real quickly. But I go deep quick. Him and I both shared very personal stuff right away. We had no pretenses. He shared some really vulnerable stuff with me that really, it didn't shine a positive light on him, but he was just being real. And of course, I did the same with him. And so we got along famously, and we found out real quick all these things that we had in common. Why? Because we were open. We were open in our communication. We were open to being vulnerable. We don't want to break our own hearts. So we are, in some cases, we are very protective of ourselves and our feelings. But be willing to be open. Be willing to be vulnerable. Be willing to share with other people what you're thinking. People don't want to be around somebody who's crying the blues all the time, but they also don't want to be around people who are fake, who are superficial. They don't go, you know how the people, you can tell the ones who are really fake and superficial, most of them, just in saying, hi, good morning, how are you? They just give you a head nod. Now, maybe they're going through something. We never know what somebody's going through. That's definitely another life lesson we can learn from. You never know what somebody's going through. So don't judge anybody's reaction. You know what? I learned something else of a guy who was really advising how to be more socially active and connect with more people. And he filmed himself walking out in public and really greeting people. Hi, how are you? Hi, hey, how are you? I like what you're wearing. And he did 10 of those. And he said, look, I did 10 of those interactions and I got 10 different responses. And he said, you got to go forward trying to connect with people, and don't do it based on how they respond. You're going to get 10 different responses. Just be raw, real, authentic, and try to connect with people and notice something about them that's positive that you can comment on. And then if you get a positive response from that, go forward a little deeper. You can tell right away how people respond to you, whether you should move forward or not. Some people make it very, very clear. They just don't want to interact with you. Well, we got to respect that. There's nothing wrong with that. But other people will let you know, hey, I'm open to talking to you. Yeah, hey, where are you from? Hey, what's your name? They might come back with you more aggressively than you are, wanting to connect with you. And so that's all good stuff. All right, everybody, I am here. Tennis club, staying active, which was part of my message yesterday about men over 50. What I was trying to tell, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, really, it helps the channel. I'm trying to grow my community of progress. And hey, if you're a new creator, subscribe and I'll pay attention. I'll actually check your channel out. If you're trying to grow your channel, hey, I'll subscribe to your channel. You know why? It costs nothing and it supports you. Just like if you subscribe to my channel, it costs nothing, but it supports me and what I'm trying to do, which is bring people together and up. And I got that from Arthur C. Brooks. He's a professor of happiness at Harvard, and that's his mission. And I have a similar type of mission, to have a positive impact on other people, bring people up and together. Why? Believe me, it feeds me too. Kind of a selfish mission, right? The more you give and serve, you'd be surprised how much more you get and you're served. It really is a boomerang effect. All right, everybody, I'm so glad you're here. I'm glad you're connecting with me on this forum at my YouTube channel. You know I love you. I'll see you in the next video. In this forum at my YouTube channel. You know I love you. I'll see you in the next video.